morning. I hope everyone is healthy and doing well. We do not have anyone signed up for public comment. So if there is anyone who would like to make a public comment at this time, I'll give you a moment to unmute and let us know that that is the, that you would like to do that. Okay, not hearing any. Next, I'm going to ask for a declaration of conflict of interest. So if you would unmute and give us your name and the conflict of interest.
Good morning, this is Rolinda Duran, TWC. And also just to apologize to everyone in advance, my key commands for my screen reader are not working, so I can't mute and unmute. So I'll try to be as quiet as possible.
Okay, thank you. Thank you this morning.
Kevin Faulkner, Texas Workforce Commission.
Thank you, Kevin.
Good morning, Alan. Joe May, under Oversight and Contracts.
Good morning. Thank you, Joe.
Good morning, Shannon with Texas Department of Health and Human Services.
Thank you, Shannon. Okay, do we have any others? So we don't hear you. Okay, so we have everyone. All right, for my remarks this morning, is Kelly on the line? Till guest, Kelly, are you on?
Hi, Ellen, I'm out. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I just want to say to you, thank you for your dedication and service to the board. Kelly's going to be stepping off of the board, and I wanted to give her a moment to just share with us a few minutes. Kelly, we have really appreciated your insight and perspectives and contribution to the board, and you will definitely be missed.
Thank you so much. You guys, such respect for all of you and what you do on this Dallas board is fantastic. I'm in a fortunate position where I'm going to retire, moving to my beach house full-time in Port Bolivar outside of Galveston. And I won't be a Dallas resident, and I won't be representing small employers anymore. So I'm very grateful to have met all of you and served on this board with you. And thank you for what you do for everyone in Dallas. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kelly. And we wish you well. I know many of us are thinking we'd love to be there where you're going, to your beach house.
Thank you.
But again, thank you for your service. We greatly, greatly appreciate it. And as Kelly is exiting, we are very fortunate to have Mr. Mancici, Daniel coming on the board. And you have made a fantastic initial impression and introduction. But Daniel, just want to say welcome to the board. And if you would share with everyone a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, thank you. It's a real honor and privilege to be part of this board. And I'm sorry about the early morning commercial about the bond program.
I love it.
But vote yes
great.
for all 5 propositions. I'm an attorney. I've been at Aiken Gump since law school, so I've been there for over 30 years. I am also a trustee on the Dallas ISD Board of Trustees, and I've held that position since 2012. It's been a remarkable ride, but I'm really proud of the accomplishments that our superintendent and our teachers and educators have achieved for our kids. Opportunities for kids today and student achievement has really been grown tremendously. A lot of challenges. As you know, we're a very high poverty school district, and the challenges we're facing today with COVID-19 include connectivity, internet connectivity, and food insecurity, among other issues that we were already facing. But I've been very pleased, and I said earlier that I'm very thankful for the support that we've received from the entire community. And I see so many key players as I'm looking at all these boxes. I couldn't see all the boxes before when I was talking. I only saw 5 of them, but yeah, there's so many people on this call that have done so much for our schools and for our kids that I really, from the bottom of my heart, say thank you very much. Again, it's an honor to be part of this board.
Thank you, and we are honored to have you on the board, and can already tell what an asset you're going to be. You know, as we're moving forward, visioning and just good thought leadership, you know, giving some guidance and direction and how we can assist and help in any way. Thank you. And you're right, of all times to layer on the pandemic of already what was some challenging situations, it's going to take all of us coming together with our resources and our efforts to make a difference for truly our future in investing in our children. Thank you.
Ellen, I'm sorry, Ellen, we also have Mark York that is leaving the board. I didn't know if you wanted to recognize him.
Yes, I didn't realize he was on. I didn't see him on the call. Yes, please. Oh my gosh, another huge loss for us. Just again, greatly appreciate your contributions and your insight and energy and dedication for the board. Would you like to share with the board kind of what your next, I'm going to say, season or chapter is moving forward? I think you may be muted. Let me see, I can't see. Do you, Connie, see? Is he muted, or I don't see, I see a video, but not a sound. Maybe we'll have.
We can have him.
Yeah.
Stacy just needs to unmute him. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
So I actually think he probably needs to click on the communicate button and make sure the right microphone is set up, because I am not seeing a micro. Oh, there he is. So Mark, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Technical advantages here. Ellen, thank you so much for those kind words. And I can't tell you how wonderful it's been to be on this board, this Workforce Development Board, and Lori's team, and all you fantastic leaders, even to be sitting at the same table. I do represent organized labor, the workers here in Dallas. And it's nice and refreshing to see companies, organizations, all come together for one common goal, and that's to make Dallas a better place. And it's been a true honor to be here. Brother Lewis Fulbright, who's also on the board with me, will be taking my place. He has at the Dallas AFL-CIO, so I'm going to be leaving everybody in excellent hands. My wife and I have retired to Plymouth, Mass. Today we're going to go down to the wharf and have lunch and look at the Mayflower. We're at the oldest city in America. It's absolutely beautiful here in New England. But once again, I just want to say how grateful it's been to be on this board. And some of you are just some of the most amazing human beings on the planet. And I'm truly grateful. Ellen, your leadership is wonderful. And I love Southwest, it's my family. Anyway, once again, I just want to thank everybody. Also, the great award I received on behalf of the Workforce Development Board. It's absolutely beautiful. So once again, I want to wish everybody the best of luck. Stay healthy, and we'll be seeing you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. You are truly going to be missed. I tell you personally, they're from my heart. So we
Thanks.
wish you well. Again, moving into this next harvest season of your life. Enjoy, make the most of it. And we welcome Louis and coming on and stepping into your shoes in this role. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. Bless you.
Ellen, this is Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Hey, guys. I won't be on camera, but I found an apparatus that will work. Mark, gonna miss you, my friend, but we'll see each other on social media. And love the life you've picked out for you and the wife. It's a really sweet picture, and the big dog. So do well, be well. I'm sorry that I was a little late getting here, but thanks to Stacy, I think we're all present. Did Michelle ever get on? Michelle Thomas is with us. I don't believe she has her mic on. Stacy, if you can help her with that. She doesn't have a mic, very much like Mark was. So Ellen, I think we're all present. Has Kelly spoken yet?
Yes.
Okay, Kelly,
and,
farewell.
And so did Dan.
I heard Dan did get on, and welcome Dan. So sorry guys, it is 8 o'clock. Let's get moving.
Hi, Lori. I'm gonna miss you.
You too, my friend. Thank you for everything, Kelly. Above and beyond, for the short time you were with us, you made good use of the time.
I'm in Crystal Beach. When you get here, come see me.
Oh my God, that's my other home, babe. I grew up in Port Arthur. That was my place to go every fall. I love that beach in the autumn.
That's where we're retiring to. We're sitting here now.
Stay safe.
Thanks.
All right, so next, what I'd like to do is to congratulate Child Care Group, 119-year birthday for them on September 14th. A round of applause. I know many of us are on mute, but 119 years for Child Care Group. Absolutely incredible. Oh my gosh, it's just even hard to believe that. But what a impact to many, many lives Child Care Group has made. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I would like to, I think, go ahead and move on to consent agenda. I want to be conscious of our time. Any corrections, revisions, any comments that any of the board members have on the consent agenda? I'm not hearing any. Make sure everybody's unmuted. If I can get a motion to, yes.
This is Bill. I just wanted to know if you could hear me.
Yes, I can, Bill. Great. Coming through clear.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I thought you were speaking up to make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I will do that. I make a motion to accept.
All right. Did I get a second? All right. All those in favor? Can I hear an aye?
Aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? All right, so moved.
But, this is Dan. I will abstain on this since I was not part of the discussions. Thank you.
Okay, Dan, thank you. All right, and so next, let's move to means, ends, and expectations.
Good morning. I'm Ashley Verner, Chief Financial Officer for the board. Expenditures and financial statements begin on page 13 of your board packet this month. The expenditure report is based on year-to-date expenditures through July 2020. You will see on page 13 that we have blue lined, we owe a youth, adult, dislocated worker, and rapid response grants. Shortly, Demetria will bring you numerous grants for which we propose to obligate with contract year beginning October 1st, 2020. Among these are the blue lines on this page. These 4 grants had a start date of July 1st, 2020, and we have historically waited to obligate anything related to these grants until October 1st. Many of our other grants have a start date of October 1st, so you do not see those reflected in this July expenditure report. However, Demetria will also include those in her presentation of contracts and agreements. I would also like to make mention of the email I sent you all Friday afternoon, including our tax form 990 for the year 2019. If you didn't receive the form or you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. We are looking forward to filing this form in the next few weeks. If you have any questions about anything we have discussed in finance this morning, I'd be glad to answer. And if there are no questions, I'll pass things over to Richard Perez to talk about performance.
If I could, 1 minute before Richard. Page 16, thank you, Ashley, for adding this fabulous page. These are all of the external CARES Act grants that have come from the City of Dallas, City of Irving, and Dallas County. We are making some headway thanks to Demetria, the new Executive Vice President. She and her team have been able to work with Child Care Group to deploy these funds to the community. So bravo to everybody for working on child care and making it a priority. But I thought that was a great addition to our report. It's unusual money. Hopefully the county will reconsider and increase their grants slightly. But we've got to have all this money out before December 31st. Thank you, Ash. Sorry, Richard.
Thank you.
No problem. Good morning. My name is Richard Perez, and I'm the research manager for the board. And I'm going to be going over the MPR, which is the monthly performance report. And that is the report card from the Texas Workforce Commission for contracted measures for the Dallas board. So the first 2 measures on there, claimant reemployment within 10 weeks, and number of employers served through workforce assistance. The state's reconfiguring those, so we haven't had any performance on those all year, but I'm sure those will come back next year, and I think we'll be doing well. The next one is Choice's full work rate, and that is the performance measure for the participation rate of TANF customers in work-related activities. And that one is negative P. So the grades for the report card are plus P, who's just doing great, MP, meeting performance, and negative P, not meeting performance. So that is the only performance we are not meeting. It's one that all of our 28 workforce board across the state are also not meeting, and we'll take a look at that in the at-a-glance report in a little bit. The next measure is children served per day, and that's just the child care performance measure, and that's doing good, and that is the average number of kids that they served in the monthly period. And all the rest of the measures are WIOA outcome measures, and they look at 3, or actually 4 basic things: entered employment, credential obtainment, retention, and earnings. So we are doing well in all of them. They break up into categories of adult, which is economically disadvantaged adults, dislocated workers, which are people that are separated from the workforce, like maybe they were laid off, and youth. And then the top 4 is just all of those all mushed up together and looked at as a whole. So we're doing well in all of the outcome measures. And that brings us into the next report, which is on page Well, before I go there, let's take a look at the at a glance. So again, this is all of our 28 Workforce Board brothers and sisters across the state. And if you look at that third column for choices participation, all of them are not meeting. And luckily for Dallas, that is the only one we're not meeting. But some of the other boards are missing a few other ones. So that's a great report. Just, you know, at its title, at a glance, you can look at a glance, see how all the other boards are doing. So now I'm going to jump into something we look at every year, and that is our training providers. I apply those same performance measures, the WIOA outcome measures of entered employment, credential obtainment, and median quarterly earnings to all of our training providers and the ones we send our students to. And we do this every year just to make sure that the schools are doing what they need to do to get students trained and into the workforce. So it is a good report. I break it up by the sectors of training, information technology, business management, administration, healthcare, and the truck driving at the bottom. And there's other forms in there. And for this year, it is a good report. We look at the schools that have students, 5 or more students. And we do that just because a lot of the training is 1s and 2s. And if one of the schools, one of the students drops out, they're immediately at 50%. So we look at the schools that serve more than 5 students and look at them a little more closely. So this year, we're recommending that there's 2 schools that we take another look at, verify the employment, and if this is correct, suspend their enrollments for a year. One of the schools is a truck driving school, and the unique thing about those schools is they have a lot of interstate wages. So if a truck driving school operates in another state, sometimes the wages for the students don't get reported as quickly. So we're going to verify that. And then the other one, that is Aspire Truck Driving School. And the other school that we're going to take a good look at is Asher College Office Accounting Specialist. And again, these are the same performance measures that we went over in the NPR. We just apply those to our training providers. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Richard, I just want to add a little context to this for new members, but also reminding members, we don't go over this that often. Changes have been made at the state level that I'm not too thrilled with. Schools can hop on to the state approved list as long as they're a licensed school. A lot of them are getting through as perhaps a waivered school. They're not necessarily licensed, but they offer a credential. The state is now telling us that we cannot require a credential, which I'm still fighting, because previously this board required that all training come through with a credential. They're saying that under the law, we need to make it available to trainers who could just provide a job placement without credential. It's not wearing very well on me. If you look at all of these schools, they have applied. Richard has taken their application. Once they are approved by the state, they have to come through every local board and say, add me to your list. Richard and team handles that. It's quite arduous. And then the way students go to these schools is scholarship only. So the person selects the school. Informed decision-making, we hope. Our counselors in the centers are supposed to help them make an informed decision, but we cannot select the school or the training for the customer. So it's a tuition assistance program. It's free of charge to the student, but you can see in some cases where the students gravitate. If you look at enrollments, now Richard didn't point out This is old data. That's really because we rely on wage records, because we rely on the state. We do not have self-attestation in our system. This is reflective of July 18 to June. Is it 18 to 19, Richard? Yes.
It is. It's July 2018 to 2019 for just the entered employment and earnings. And then credential, it's even a little further back, and that's the calendar year of 2018, January through December.
And I hate that the data is old, but the data is rock solid. And that's the most important part. The state generates this data from the wage database. We get information as to who has gone to work. The other concern is, was it training related? For most of you, you recall our cap is $12,000 for training. In some cases, we do approve a higher tuition in case it's something that's in real demand. We've commissioned Piper Wilkins from the community college and myself worked in July with all of the wonderful data people who serve this community. Richard Perez, Mario's on camera too. Also Dwayne Dankis-Ryder and Eric Griffin at the Dallas Chamber, and then Ben McGill at the Dallas College. So we've put together long ago the Dallas Deck Dropbox where we're adding all of the data. These gentlemen are now digging. We have an assignment. What is the forecast? What is the short-term forecast for putting people back to work? What is the long-term forecast for preparing people for future work? Everything changed in the last 6 months. Everything changed. I'm very concerned that we direct people to jobs that can be sustained in the new economy. So we have a challenge. Now, as we work through that, we're going to be feeding information to Dallas Thrives. Our friend Carrie O'Connor, who's been with us through all of our sector work for all these years with the DFW Regional Leadership Group, she and I are talking consistently, and the chamber is involved. Everyone's on board. But we've got to get the data and get the data out to all of the partners in Thrive, which includes United Way and includes Commit, everyone that, and the city, everyone that has an initiative that feeds to a common goal of getting our people better income in the Dallas community and better longevity in their jobs. So I'm appreciative of all of you who've helped. People have been involved in some focus groups with Carrie, Jason and Kelly, and a few others of you. I just want you to know how deep this work goes. And looking at this list is more than just the culmination of scholarships. It's our future workforce. What we put on this list in the future really matters. And this does not indicate what we've done in the last year. So we are now kind of pulling that together, finding out who's on our list now, where our scholarships are going, and who's being successful. To their credit, about 95% of our schools did go to virtual learning immediately. They did a great pivot, just as most of our systems did. Proud of them for that, but we don't know the quality of the education. And a lot of times we have monitoring visits with these providers and we have issues. We may be bringing some of that back to you. So back to Richard's question, any questions or concerns? We muddied the water with more information. I just want you to be conscious. This is huge. This is a big investment. It is our skills training initiative, and this matters, especially in COVID. Mark, your mic's open. Did you want to say something? No? Okay. Your mic is open. Richard, I'll give it back to you.
Richard, I think this is an excellent report. Thank you. And thank you, Lori, for the commentary on it. I think that's very helpful. That gives us just a full picture of all that's involved in this. And for the reports, look good. I saw a few that were not meeting, but like you said, this is old data, and there could be maybe some improvement in a few of those. But very good view of just the overall. Thank you. Go ahead, Richard.
Thank you, Ellen. So next, Mario is going to be providing a presentation on the economic snapshot. And are you on, Mario?
Yeah, I'm here, I think.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Mario Castaneda, research analyst here at the Workforce Board. I'm actually going to be talking about page 24 in the board packet. Basically, we have a snapshot of the UI claims for the past 6 months, actually. It's kind of hard to believe it's been 6 months since we've entered this, I guess, COVID-19 era. Back in March when this started, our unemployment rate was at around 3.5% to 4%. It actually took a huge spike back in April where we reached 13% of unemployment rate. But since then, it's actually kind of gradually come back down. And I say that, but we're still at 8.1% in July. That's the latest month that we have available. August, I believe the preliminary numbers will be coming out on Friday. And we do expect that number to continue to go down. But still, I mean, that's 8.1% is a huge number for Dallas County. In terms of just the total UI claims since March, we hit 276,000 initial claims. That's about 8 times what we would see in a normal year compared to 2019, the same time period from last year. Texas as a whole actually has just reached 2.8 million UI claims this past week since March 1st, and about 750,000 of that is within the DFW regions. So DFW actually does, or the DFW region does actually lead the state in UI claims. But specifically, Dallas County is at 276,316. I know in terms of just counties within the state, Dallas County actually ranks second behind Harris County down in the Houston area. They're actually at 555,000 claims. So it's an enormous number, but I think a lot of their UI claims are actually kind of centered around their both COVID-19 impact and the oil and gas that was hard hit at the beginning of this pandemic. On the top right there, you see our 4 most populous counties within our region. And you see Dallas County led the way back in early April, with about 27,000 UI claims in just 1 week. However, since then, we've kind of tapered off. We're averaging about 10,600 claims a week since the pandemic started. The last 4 weeks, actually, it's been around 5,000, so half of that. So it's tapering off, but again, the numbers are still, 7 to 8 times higher than what we would normally expect. What we saw last year. Down at the bottom, just a bit of the characteristics of the UI claimants. During the beginning of the pandemic, around the first 6 to 8 weeks of the pandemic, we saw a shift, or not a shift, but a big spike in 30-year or younger claimants who were filing. Since then, it's actually kind of normalized a little bit, so it's hit all ages similarly since June. But the beginning of the pandemic, it was skewed towards younger people a lot more than we've seen in the past. Our total claimants have been 53% female, a little bit higher than we typically see normally. And in terms of educational attainment, about 60% of the UI claimants have a high school degree or less. So we know that there's a greater, or based on your education levels, there's a higher risk of being laid off or having to claim UI insurance. I guess I'll stop there to see if there's any questions or any.
Well, let's talk about the numbers on the education I think that's very important to look at. And I'm not going to say that I know this for a fact, but I see this in the data, that in this particular effort, it seems that people with a college diploma were far more insulated.
Yeah.
In the pandemic. And that's not exactly what we were doing in February. In February, we were saying not everybody needs a college degree. Maybe you should have a credential. Maybe you should go into a skills program. But if you look at the academics that were affected most significantly, I think there's a story to tell there, and there's a conscious, we have a situation we need to address as the Workforce Development Board. There are people who are looking to us to say, how can I work from home? How can I stay employed in this new world? Especially people who are very young and did not complete their education, or people who are 60 and over who do not want to venture into the work world. So we have a situation that I think bears some more investigation, some more data crunching, but just kind of pulling that to the forefront. And maybe some board members want to speak to what they see. Joe?
Laurie, I'll comment on that. This is Joe, and there's really been kind of an interesting reaction the last 6 months. I have probably been asked more times in this 6 months window, what are the top jobs that people need to be looking at and what's the training required than I've ever been asked probably in my rest of my career combined. People are much less focused on degrees and much more focused on discipline, skills, where jobs are than I've ever seen them. The other is probably 3 or 4 to 1, though, questions about certifications over degrees and skills over degrees. Folks are looking for something really immediate that can have an immediate impact in terms of their future. And this doesn't seem to be limited to individuals, all these questions. This is coming from policymakers, legislators, folks at the coordinating board elsewhere, of just trying to get their arms around the idea that something, kind of what you were alluding to, some fields seem to have been more insulated than others, and some jobs more insulated than others, and how does that translate into training is the question I'm asked now every day, and usually it goes, what are the top 20? What are the top 10? Fields that we see, and we do track that, but there is a shift of focus right now that's becoming apparent.
Thanks, and I agree. We are asked. I mean, I've been doing more interviews than I think I've ever done on. So where do we find the work from home jobs? And what I've tried to point out is the current workers who were able to migrate from office to home or the stay-at-home jobs. I do not see new jobs being posted as work from home unless it's a call center. So the new jobs are the people who are displaced and try to get back into work. It's sort of it's a constant conversation. Well, how do I get a job where I work from home? And I said, well, first of all, you have to get the job and show up and then try to negotiate working from home. They're not posting jobs. And that's what reporters want to know. Well, where are your list of work from home jobs? And this it's muddied the water, but it's also clarified some things, as you're saying, that it's about the skill, it's about the credential, and then it's about the work relationship. We're not getting a listing of, I can work from home and this is a manual labor, essential jobs. We've even dropped that term. All jobs are essential at this point. But we do have to find a way to address young women, predominantly displaced. This 200,000 and whoever's remaining on the rolls, those people were working in February and we need them to go back to work. This is not the welfare food stamp population. These were our workforce people and we need them back in the workforce. So the dislocated worker activity and what the state is doing, the state's jumped into the game. They have serious issues because this is also a tax issue for our state. Several loans have been engineered to pay this. It is not just an endless fund. And when we go into session, we're going to hear a lot about this because these funds have to be repaid. The trust fund was aching somewhere in this. As Mario talked about the figures, every month, every week that we're on a call on Friday with the UI department, we hear these astronomical figures of the trillions of dollars that have been let in 6 months. It's mind-boggling. So
well, I think, Lori, the only thing I'd add, and this is both to Joe, your comments, and I know it's not probably a popular statement, but I think as organizations and companies and small businesses are in what I call phase 3 of, okay, what's the new normal look like truly from an operational perspective? That clarity of role, that clarity of their operations and how they're to survive is going to become more solidified. It just hasn't been. I'm speaking not only from an AT&T perspective, I'm speaking from a, that comfort, if you will, with what that looks like and what that means and how we operate or how any organization operates is unfortunately now at a point where it's starting to become more clear and people can talk through it. It's hard to talk about it like you all have been in conversations all the time. And now we're getting comfortable with whatever that looks like and being able to articulate what that means. So that is the other challenge to this is it's the foundation is still unsettled. And that makes it difficult to talk about. Here are the specific skills, here are the specific things, or specific jobs you need. We know the skills, it's just the specific jobs. But Joe, you're right. There is a shift going on relative to the value of a certification or the immediate skills versus evaluation of degrees, right? That's going on big time now. So this is interesting.
It is, and I would add to that, Jason, for instance, with us at Southwest, we offered all of these voluntary separation package, right? And we've had thousands of people take that. And we also are offering extended time off, so people are electing to take the next 18 months off. And with that, you lose talent. And so the investment is going to be made in what is necessary to keep the lights on, basically. Because of the uncertainty of the next 3-6 months, much less trying to project the future. So what we're looking for would be individuals, as Dr. May said, that have certifications with anything to do with cybersecurity, anything to do with being able to support a remote workforce at home. And of course, these will be at home remote jobs. In doing that, our entire technology department basically is working remotely. So you're right, we're looking at who has those certifications, who can step in and help us basically to keep the operation running at this time with what we have. So you're right, Jason, there's so much unknown, and you're trying to project as far as you can, but knowing that you may need to pull back depending on how the public responds to the pandemic. But you're right. We're constantly in meetings trying to determine basically what's next for the next. What are we going to do for the next 30 days, much less the next 3 years.
Ellen, this is Ken Malcolmson. I had a couple of quick questions for Mario and one quick observation. As most of you, as everybody on this call knows, the observation is that on the educational attainment issue, many of us have had the opportunity to spend considerable amount of time during the pandemic with Rob Kaplan from the Dallas Fed. And this is his primary focus is around educational attainment and early childhood education and the impact on that, because it's such a dramatic difference between bachelor's degree or higher and less than a high school graduate in terms of economic impact. And so this is obviously a big focus. My two questions for Mario are real simple ones. One is, On the Dallas County unemployment on insurance claims, why are our numbers higher than the other urban county, Tarrant County, on this? I mean, what would attribute the difference between Dallas County and Tarrant County?
Ken, just automatically population. This isn't, I mean, as a percent of population, I don't think we did that factor, but we have the larger workforce in Dallas County and a lot of commute from. Richard, or Mario, these claims are done by home address aren't they, as the worker's address, not the company?
Yeah, they're done by worker address. If we actually extrapolate that per 1,000 workers, it's actually very comparable with Tarrant County.
Okay.
I think
I see what you're saying, and I'm sorry. I was thinking of it more as a percentage, but you're right. In terms of actual claims, actually, it looks probably much better than Tarrant County as a percentage of population. But you just said it's comparable, and that's great. Can you speculate, by any chance, you or Richard, speculate what number we might hear on Friday in terms of the actual unemployment rate?
I can't. I know the preliminary U.S. number that came out it did decrease between July and August. I believe it was. I don't know the exact number, but I do know that it decreased. It's continuing to decrease. I think Friday is just a preliminary number, so it might be till next week where we actually get the official numbers. But yeah, we'll definitely track that.
Let me add something here, though. There is something that will affect these numbers, and we shouldn't lose sight that how the number is calculated also includes how long the benefits last. There are factors for long-term unemployed, but some people are now entering that long-term unemployed. All the states or the feds do is track 26 weeks. That's your initial claim period, and we just hit 26 weeks last Friday. So the 26 weeks expires if you've already collected those claims. And again, it's a personal calendar. You then get 13 weeks at a reduced rate. But when the pandemic benefit fell off in late July, for Texas, it ended on July 26th. That extra $600 made it possible for more people to stay home. Then the state of Texas did incorporate the $300. It was not a $400, it was a $300. And that expired last week. On the 5th, 11 days ago. So I'm not real sure that the calculations and the unemployment rate are as important as the true unemployed still seeking work. And we will do our best, Ken, to start digging a bit in who is still seeking work. Because I think as we mentioned, retirements, how many times did we say retirement on this call? A lot of people opting out. Ellen mentioned the long term out of the market because they're on furlough or they're choosing to be off 18 months. I think the numbers become less common, and I've done this a long time, so I'm worried about trusting the unemployment figure to give us a cool picture of what are we really up against right now. And my main goal is to say who are the people who have to work, were in the workforce, and need to go back. And chipping at that calculation becomes very critical.
Thank you.
And just one more thing to add. The continued claims, they continue to decline from June to July, went from 96,000 continued claims to 90,000. So, that what Lori was saying is the number of people on unemployment insurance, I think is continuing to decline a little bit.
Dan?
Yes, just a question about the data. I think the obvious point, of course, is that the higher the level of education, the less level of unemployment. But in that high school graduate category, where we show 46%, it seems like we need a little bit more detail on the data, because I'm looking at it from the Dallas ISD perspective. We're investing in career institutes. That's also part of the bond program that I mentioned earlier. But we will have kids graduating with a high school degree who will be certified plumbers, and they'll have certifications in cybersecurity, unmanned aerial systems, things like that, traditional trades, HVAC, and they'll be high school graduates, but they will more than likely have jobs, in the very, very near future, and it does look like they will have stable jobs for a long time. But they're also included just in the high school category, which means that kids who graduate from high school that don't go on to college and don't have one of these certifications are really adversely affected by this. But it would seem that if there was a way that we could track high school graduates with certifications and versus high school graduates without certifications, you probably see on this chart that high school graduates with certifications in the various trades would have a very low percentage compared to those that don't have the certification. But I think that data would help us inform what the reality is out there.
Mario, can you dig a little deeper into the high school graduates that are unemployed or were employed in 6 months? Can we get more data on who they are and what kind of, and it's high school and GED, Dan. So I think, it could even be, and you're completely correct. If you're just starting out with a high school diploma, you are at the end of the line in a lot of ways. Now, people with a background issue, I've been talking to ex-offender programs, explaining to them, in this economy, everything flipped from February. In February, we needed all hands on deck. There were tons of jobs, nobody to take them. That has now skewed. So, Mario, what's in the data?
I haven't tracked that specific information, but thank you, Dan. That's a great point. That's something we should be tracking too. Thank you. We didn't necessarily, I guess.
Well, and the same is true. If you would look at that bachelor's degree, I'm sure there are my people with philosophy and psychology degrees, but that's Will with the degree got pushed out of the market, and it's going to be people with that marginal, or people who took a furlough and paycheck protection. I mean, there was a furlough conversation here that people could push their workers into unemployment for a short period of time, and we really don't know how that affected the data. In other words, they have a job to go back to.
And there isn't as much information, Lori, as for the inventory of credentials and degrees in the UI wage system. It primarily, if you have a degree, but there's not that much in the database for what kind of degree. But Mario and I can take a look and see what's there and present it next month.
And maybe just in our WIT categories as well. If we go into WIT, there's a self-attestation of skills and background. So it wouldn't necessarily match up with these numbers, but everyone who went on unemployment had to register in WIT, Work in Texas, right? So we might be able to pull some data from Work in Texas as to who is the available workforce, what certificates, what education background is sitting there. I'd love to see that. That's some good stuff. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, gentlemen. I'm sorry, Ellen, we really beat that one up, but I think it's worth beating up.
Now, Lori, we did miss the recommendation on the piece for evaluating training providers.
So you're asking for action on page 23 to do what?
It is to to recommend to take a look at the two training providers, Aspire Truck Driving and Asher College Office Accounting Specialist, and confirm that the data is correct, and if it is, to halt those enrollments until the performance can improve and see what's there. So it's to halt the enrollments for those two programs.
Okay. If I can get a motion to accept this recommendation.
I'll make that motion, Ms. Carter.
Thanks, Carter. If I can get a second.
I'll second, it's Jason.
Thank you, Jason. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Thank you.
Nay. Any abstentions? All right, so moved. Thank you, Richard. Excellent discussion, everyone. Really appreciate that.
Madam Chairman, could I just make a comment on this topic?
Yes, Carter, please.
I just want to point out that some of us have been on the board for a little while, know that this got to be a prickly item once before. Ellen, you and Lori were aware of that. We had one particular provider that I think filed a lawsuit. And so I just want to bring that to our attention that Richard's being very cautious here, and he should. We don't like to go into the business of cutting off schools. So I just want to make the board aware that we've had an issue with this and before, and that we need to handle it gingerly. We don't like to cut off schools, and that's not our goal. But just to be aware that this could potentially, there could be some ramifications. So just want to make the board aware of that.
Thank you, Carter. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, and so next we have Ms. D. Thank you. You're on.
Good morning. I'm Demetria Robinson, Executive Vice President. It's my pleasure to present to you this morning the contracts and agreement items on pages 25 and 26. Our existing service provider contracts will expire on September 30th for the fiscal year of 2020. Each of the services are within the procurement requirements, allowing us to renew annual contracts effective October 1st with proposed initial budgets as follows. The first is the Workforce System Operations Contract with Equus Workforce Solutions, who provides management and operations in our 8 workforce centers. The initial proposed budget is based upon 90% of this year's expenditures, which represents a 4% difference from the requesting Equus to provide us with a plan that details enhanced services to assist customers in securing employment through continued virtual services and eventually face-to-face during this pandemic. It's important that we continue to provide services in a safe and effective way. It's been 6 months, as Mario noted. We have experienced new challenges daily, and we are expecting continued change. The state has notified us that outreach efforts are to begin October 1st for SNAP customers. Those are customers receiving food benefit assistance, and we expect the job search requirement to soon follow. The chart below lists each of the grant funding streams and the proposed budget amounts to be awarded contingent upon receipt of grant. It's noted that at this time, but we expect them to come, but we have projections that we've received from the state. And so that's what we're proposing for ResCare. For the incentive matrix, the state performance targets have not been incorporated into our grants by the Texas Workforce Commission, but we hope to return a negotiated incentive matrix in January, as we have done in the prior years. Are there any questions on the Workforce Center operations contract? All right, I'll keep moving. Next, we have the youth system service contracts. We have 3 different contractors serving youth ages 18 to 24. which is that population we were just talking about. I think in some of the data, we may find that we have high school students that may have not completed their high school diploma yet, but have lost their jobs during this pandemic that may be affecting that percentage. Just a note that came to thought as we continued those discussions. Quist also has youth service contract with Workforce. They provide a comprehensive array of services from essential skills to job placement, including authorizing tuition assistance. We use the same rationale for this youth contract initial budget as we did for the workforce system operations budget, based upon 90% of expenditures of last year. But the difference represents approximately 20% less than this year's budget. Dallas College initial budget is also proposed at a 20% reduction at this time. Currently, services reside at Richland Garland campus, offering occupational skills training opportunities with credentials leading to manufacturing jobs. For Dallas College is making, we are meeting with representatives on tomorrow to understand how they can stretch across the district to serve more youth in this capacity. The last one is Gulf Coast Trade Center. Although this is a substantial reduction to the initial budget proposed, it's a unique service being provided to adjudicated youth. The Dallas County Juvenile Court System refers adjudicated youth to Gulf Coast Trade Center's residential program. They're located out in New Waverly, Texas. And it's a residential program where they're housed on site and they receive GED instruction, work experience, and occupational skills training. Due to the pandemic, referrals were suspended with the court system, and we are unsure what this year will, but want to have the option available once referrals are reinstated, and services will be reevaluated at that time. For each of the youth contractors, we will also ask them for a plan as well. We believe this population will need our services more so now than they have in the past. So the budgets represented in the table are what we're recommending for youth services. Next, we have the professional services contracts. QNet provides our technology services, and they have been very busy ensuring that our system remain functional as we transition to remote work. We are not proposing any change to the initial contract budget at this time, but we will need to continue to review the cost for any additional services that may be necessary to ensure that we are equipped to provide a secure and sound system. Oriental Building Services, Inc. provides janitorial services to 3 of our Workforce Center locations that are not part of our full service leases. Although the provider has requested a small increase to cover cost of cleaning supplies, the amount still represents a 20% decrease due to the closure of the Mesquite Center. So we're no longer needing those services for that one Workforce Center. The last 2 contracts for external monitoring services is Christine Wynn, who provides program compliance monitoring. Both initial budgets are reduced to less travel and focusing more on virtual services to be implemented in their monitoring process. This concludes the review of the FY 2021 initial proposed budget for our existing contractors. Are there any questions?
If there are not, Dee, do you want a recommendation for the board to accept that you would continue to contract with these existing contractors? It looks like the time frame is October 1, 2020 through September 2021.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any comments, questions at all on what Dee has reported on? If not, if I can get a motion to accept that they will continue to contract with the existing contractors.
I'll make a motion, Ellen. This is Bill.
Thanks, Bill. Can I get a second?
I'll
Is that
second.
Carrie? Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Any abstentions on this one?
Yes, Joe.
Joe, thank you.
I believe I'll just speak for Terry Richardson. I know he's on and he always abstains for Equus activity.
Okay.
There was, and Michelle is on. I mean, there are a lot of people who are on, they're not able to access their own microphone. So I'm trying to make sure we get everybody that's normally included in an abstention.
Thank you, Lori.
All right.
All right, so moved. Next, child care on that, Dee?
Yes, it's one more I have. Last month, the board authorized staff to negotiate with Child Care Group for the management and operation of child care services in Dallas County. We have met with Child Care budget. We have asked Child Care Group to reevaluate and build a budget in a 3-phase approach due to its complexity and the service levels that the state is requiring. We're asking a budget that represents a staffing model to maintain a performance target of 13,405, which the state has projected as a preliminary target. And we received that preliminary target after the procurement process was issued. So we're asking them to reevaluate on that level. A budget adding 3 additional staff in preparation for when we open enrollment, because enrollment is actually closed right now, and process and recertifications. And then is a budget based upon the performance target that is currently set at 16,427 and additional staff to go with that. That is a lot of kids to serve per day. That's putting us at a max of about 18,000 children currently enrolled in the program. As of July, we were down to 16,098 children, average children in care per day. CCG's original proposed budget exceeded the ops ceiling set by TWC. So we want to make sure that we look at all 3 phases, that if we get to a situation where we have to go back to the state. Oh, you want to say something, Lori?
Just going to elaborate on what you're telling them. I'm sorry. I came up with the 3-step because I'm very concerned that this is a finite sum. This is not an unlimited fund. We have to carve out an admin and ops budget to make sure that the funds are secure and that everyone is eligible. There are high risk in this program, but there's a huge difference in how many people it takes to do 16,000 kids versus 13,000 kids. So the other thing we're worried about is the attrition rate. The state knows this is a problem throughout the state. We have maintained a lot of children in care who are not necessarily showing up because the state wanted to preserve these child care. Sorry about that. Don't know where that came from. They want to preserve the child care system. And so what we're seeing is perhaps an inflated number. We may see a crash in those numbers when reality hits and the state stops shoring up the fees, shoring up the sustainability grants. So we're stuck. We got a 16,000 load right now, we think. Will those children materialize after October? Will we have a 13,000 goal? The state is still moving through those numbers. And this is true across the state. There are very few boards that are under enrolled at this time. So Child Care Group is a good partner. They understand very clearly what we're up against. And we we're just assuring you, we're conscious of how significant this negotiation is this year. This is a year with no predicate. We don't understand all the details that could even come out. So just kind of briefing everyone, there is good reason to hold on this. We are continuing to fund. There will be no interruption in services, but we'll have to bring a final amount, or at least a next amount, back in October.
Thank you, Laura. I think very wise to think in that manner, kind of variance on either side of it.
Thanks, Ellen. And it is. We're getting some very strange activity on this. Okay. If we could, I think there was an action on that one as well, Dee, correct?
Yes.
Continue negotiations.
Yeah. Any questions or comments?
I did have a quick question. Thank you, Dee, for a great report. So just to track back, so we currently have 16,000 plus kids in care, and we're thinking the projection is going to be, or the goal the state said is, like you said, 13,400, something like that, right?
Correct.
So do you anticipate we would get in a position where we would have to, I know stopping enrollment is one thing, but where we would have to put kids out of care at all?
No, we won't.
Okay.
With attrition, enrollment is closed right now. We're currently paying for children that were in the program as of February.
Right.
And when research begin, we will see attrition hit probably pretty fast.
Gotcha. So it should right size itself, is what you're saying?
It will take us a few months to come down, but it will right size. We won't be in a situation to put kids out of care.
Okay.
But the worst, Susan, will be that the numbers collapse on us, and then we have to, then we have to recruit, and
then you have to,
yeah,
then you'll have to re-enroll. Yeah, no, I hear you. So it's a balancing act, but I just kind of wanted to make that. It is threading a needle every single day, sometimes every hour of the day.
Yeah, I think you used to have that job.
Yes, I did, but I didn't have it in a pandemic. Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Thank you, Susan. Are there any other comments or thoughts on this one? If not, if I can get a motion to for them to continue contract negotiations with Child Care Group for 2021.
I so move.
Second.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yes.
Can I get a second?
Second, Susan.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Those not in favor, nay. Any abstentions on this one? Lori, I don't know if you had any listed here. If not, so moved.
It would normally be Rebecca, and she's not on the line, I don't think. So I think we're okay. She is on the board of Child Care Group, is prohibited from voting, but congratulations to folks that may not know. Rebecca was reappointed by the judge. Also, Carrie McGeeth has been reappointed by the judge. Who did I leave out, Connie? Who's my third one? Sorry, brain dead for the moment. I just clicked.
Carter and...
No, it's actually Bill O'Dwyer. The others are the mayor's appointments. So it was Bill.
Yes, you're correct.
There we go. So congrats to all of them, and thank you for continuing to serve. And no, you don't get a vote. You're serving.
Okay, so next we have is Connie on.
Yes, ma'am. I'm presenting there's only one policy this month. Next month will be quite a few for childcare because there's a lot happening with TWC. This policy is for COVID-19 and the stabilization grant for closed childcare providers. We'll follow the Texas Workforce Commission WD Letter 1320 and board policy. The contractor must notify all stabilization grant recipients of this policy. It will end effective September 30th. And let me go back. Stabilization grants help defray a child care provider's fixed facility costs during the period of closure. And the contractors must notify the recipients of these funds that the last business day of the month in September, this will end. And acceptable costs will include rent, utilities, general liability insurance, security, and that sort of thing, all listed on page 26. So if there's any questions, I'll take those at this point. So what I'm needing is a recommendation for board authorization to approve the policy as presented.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion.
Okay,
second,
Mark,
Jason.
thank you. Jason, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Thank you.
opposed, nay? Any abstentions? All right, so moved. Okay, we don't have closed session today, and so President's briefing. Lori.
I am not going to take too long. The last thing on Connie's report would have been on page 27, and there's nothing significant to report, but I kind of want to take us through the oversight. That is a major responsibility of the board. We are continuing to do monitoring, even if desk monitoring, but additional financial monitoring. It's being very successful. The last page in your packet, you'll notice the Workforce Commission is finally getting their reports out for last year. This was one of our reviews, and we thought we would make sure we're caught up. The state is about to come back to us. They've asked for a document search for a November review, the week after the election week, correct? The 8th or something, Connie?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So we will be seeing our friends again. We just finished audit. Congratulations to Ashley and team. The audit was accepted by the state without question. That never happens. It was kind of interesting since we had so much question on the ground locally. We can't imagine why they didn't, but apparently we did good work and they're happy with it. We will be doing this fabulous job fair, the cover page of your board packet. Thank you to Bill O'Dwyer and his fellow board member, Gilbert Gerst, who also serves on the State Fair Committee. Bill personally said, hey, Francois, call Lori Larea, they can do some work for you. So the Big Tech's job fair, it would normally be recruiting here, and sadly, those jobs won't be there this year. Don't know if all of you have heard, but there will be a curbside drive-through state fair this year. Get your tickets now. You get your fair food. You get to drive through Fair Park and a picture with Big Techs. They're reasonably priced, and it's a cool idea that brings the state fair. And those of us who are addicted to that once-a-year corny dog and a picture with Big Techs get to live out that continuation. The Big Techs fair. Stephen is on the line, I believe. If Stephen can come on for just a second. He has been working this tirelessly. It's a huge lift. This week, there are workshops going on with Goodwill and with ResCare Equus. There are workshops for all the people who want a job. There's Stephen.
Hi.
With his great backdrop. Stephen is in business services. He also works for Richard and Connie. Stephen, tell us where we are on the Big Techs virtual job fair.
All right. Well, so far, as of this morning, we have about 50 employers, and those employers, they basically have a little over 5,000 job openings to offer. And so we're very excited about that. We're going to be meeting them actually today at 10 o'clock online to help them navigate the system and learn the system, how to go in and build their booths and how to chat with the job seekers and so forth. So that training starts here a little bit about 10 o'clock. So we're really excited about it. The jobs pretty much range anywhere from about $15 an hour up to, I saw some of them were like $49 an hour. So we're excited about it. It's going to be really good.
Hey, Lori.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I just want to take a quick moment to recognize you and Stephen and all your staff for really embracing that, working with Francois and the people over there at the fair to make it happen. They were, semi-panic mode from the standpoint of all these fair workers that come in from into September through October that really were in a panic themselves. And you guys have really gone above and beyond what I anticipated. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, Bill, thank you for bringing it to the door. I think this is as important, and you'll notice the partnerships on here. Communities Foundation was even jumping in. This is participating in a Dallas tradition. And a lot of these people, they think this job during this period sustains them. It's additional income. Yeah. So this is critical. I'm hoping, and this is my fear, that there's a mismatch between a lot of the population and the jobs. But the state fair has been extremely, the committee was, go tell the world, let's get everybody at this job fair. And so that's what we've done. So it is not confined to the usual workers, but in addition to, and we'll continue to work with people. Stephen, where are we having the workshops this week?
Well, the workshops are actually, of course, they're all online. Goodwill, they have sponsored many of the workshops that happen, I believe, in the morning. And then, of course, Equus, our workforce centers, they have online workshops as well. Now, we did set up a remote location because we realized that a lot of these, the people that possibly that normally work at the state fair may not have that computer access to go online and attend workshops and so forth. So all of this week we have workshops that are being provided because we're targeting those individuals who you normally work at the state fair, and so we've got all their information. We've targeted them, we've outreached them, and invited them to come to these workshops and do these online. And so we have a remote location that's actually at the T.R. Hoover Community Development Center. And we have even our staff that are there kind of working outside. Actually, I stopped by on Monday. We have tents out there outside. We have computers where they can go by and get some help on registering for the event, but also on attending these workshops and kind of listening in and getting help with their resume, just everything they need to help prepare them so they can put their best foot forward come next week when we have the job fair. So we're having workshops all of this week, Monday through Friday, for anyone who needs assistance in prepping for next week. And then, of course, next week, it's a 3-day event. And the first day is actually just open to our resource providers, our community service resource providers. They're going to basically be providing all the assistance on how to navigate the system, how to chat with employers, also how to upload your resume into the system and get everything ready for the next 2 days. Because the next 2 days, on the 24th and 25th, that's when we open it up for the employers. And so they'll be recruiting then. So it's very exciting. It's not just your typical job fair. We've kind of turned it into an event, but we thought it was definitely necessary to make sure that we maximize our efforts in getting these people back to work who would normally work at the state fair, but also open it up to the public as well.
And lovely that this coincides with the traditional opening of the state fair on that Friday. And this will be when the drive-through starts on Friday. So it all kind of comes together to remind people the state fair is still here. Hopefully it'll be back in 21 in the traditional sense. And hopefully the workforce will find its way to get the income they need to continue their lives as planned. Real thanks to Equus ResCare. They're manning the what I'm calling the resource room al fresco. We're having to do this. We're going to learn how to do it in our own parking lots. And Stephen, I'll segue that. I know you need to go to the next meeting. Questions for Stephen? Anything? Thank you, sir, for being here. Oh, go ahead.
Great job. Thank you. Can't wait for to hear the results. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. In addition to what's going on with Big Tech's virtual job fair, it's going to help our team pivot One of the things that Alex Perez is doing in our technology with QNet is pushing more of our Wi-Fi into our parking lots. Inviting people to curbside services will be the first phase, and then inviting back about 25% of our workers at a time. The cases continue to come in. We had someone reported Monday, had to be hospitalized over the weekend. This is one of the state staff who works in one of our centers, had not been in the center since March. We have the remote, I think, has cut down on exposure, but the cases still keep coming in. So prayers for all the families that are still dealing with this. The numbers are way down in Dallas, but we want to keep them way down. We will begin more of the in-person services. There have been infrequent. Anyone who has to have in-person gets it. But just so you're aware, we will start being a little more, taking more risk to get our centers back to where they should be. Parts of Texas have been more likely to come back on. And the metro areas are the ones that are still kind of struggling to reopen and not end up closing and cleaning every day and closing and, you know, calling people every day that they were exposed. That is our hope, that we can avoid all of that. Otherwise, questions for me? Glad to answer anything that hasn't been talked about or add something to the agenda for October. October will be our annual awards event. We will be awarding our Employers of the Year. Hopefully, we will have all of our reappointments and new appointments on board. There will be a meeting of childcare a week from Friday on the 26th. We'll send that notice out at the end of this meeting. Everyone is invited, but particularly those of you who volunteered. It will be a virtual meeting, and Susan will be the chair, as always. We will also be sending out more information about the awards event. It will be our third Wednesday meeting. I had tried to expand that, but frankly, guys, we are busy with customer services, and I know all of you have full schedules. So we're sticking with our usual timetable and hopefully fewer technology problems. Michelle has sent me a text saying, please go to Zoom. Please can we go to Zoom? So we'll look into that. There's Mark giving me a thumbs up. We will try to find the easiest method possible and the most visual method, because I would like to have more people seeing people. I think that's an important part of you guys working together. There will be an orientation. I apologize to anyone. I think Ken Malcolmson is the last person that got an official orientation. And lucky for Ken, and he's been an amazing asset. But Dan and all the new members that come on September 30, this is the time when we put new members, and members are leaving us. Sadly, members are leaving us before their time, but I understand times are changing. Any other questions for me? There was something in the chat. No? Okay. Ellen, I'll give it back to you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Lori. And thank you to you and staff. All that you're doing had to change, of course, direction and gears, as all of us have, but you all are still doing a dynamic job. We really appreciate it. And I want to thank all the board members as well. Multiple hats that you wear, personal lives, your businesses, and then yet you're dedicating the time here. And so that is greatly appreciated. Are there any comments, thoughts that you want to leave us with today? Anyone at all? All right, if not, I think we did really good with time today. So I am going to officially call the meeting adjourned. You all stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.
Great job, Ellen.
Thank you.